So we got a featherweight matchup that's guaranteed to be fireworks. When the number 5 ranked Josh Emmett looks to defend his spot in the top 5 against the surging Georgian Ilia El Matador Topuria. Josh Emmett is going to look to bounce back after losing his shot at the interim title against Yair Rodriguez. Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, has been on a roll. He's currently on a 5-fight win streak in the UFC, and he's coming off a very impressive submission win over Bryce Mitchell. So we all know that Josh Emmett is a heavy-hitting striker. He has 6 wins by knockout or TKO, and some of those are brutal. He's got a great wrestling base, and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is still improving, but that's his weakest attribute in my opinion. Although he is listed half an inch shorter than Ilia Topuria at 5'6.5", I do think he will be the bigger guy in terms of size. I think he might come into this fight being more physically imposing. Ilia is very similar to Josh Emmett, as he is also a very good wrestler and also a heavy hitter. Ilia's got pretty good power on him. He's got 4 wins by knockout or TKO. Both guys kind of strike similarly. They both kind of load up on their shots and swing. Both guys kind of load up on their shots and swing big. I do think that Ilia Topuria throws better combinations, and they tend to be a bit more cleaner and a bit more technical than Josh's. But I think Josh Emmett will have the power advantage, and Josh might also have the strength advantage. I do think Josh Emmett has better striking defense, but not by much. I do think Ilia Topuria and Josh Emmett, they get tagged up and touched up a bunch. I do think Josh Emmett's striking defense is a little better, but I think both guys get touched up too much. Both guys can get a little reckless, and I think it's pretty obvious that Ilia Topuria has the advantage when it comes to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Not only is he a black belt, but he has proven that in MMA he's very dangerous on the ground. 8 of his 13 wins are by submission. So as of right now, Ilia Topuria is coming in as a minus 325 favorite, but I feel like it should be a lot closer than that. I know Topuria has a bunch of momentum on his side. Obviously, he has youth and also very skilled, but I feel stylistically this might not be the easiest fight for Topuria. It's always hard to gauge these type of fights when a young fighter is finally making that leap. I think this is going to be his hardest fight to date. Both these guys have proven that they're very durable. Josh Emmett has only been finished once, and that was by Jeremy Stevens, and Ilia Topuria has never lost professionally. Both these guys' fighting styles are very exciting. This is a great matchup. He's just so young. He's only 26 years old. This will only be his 14th professional fight, and this is for sure the biggest fight of his career. It's just so hard to root against either of these guys. But I think if I had to choose, I like the momentum that Topuria is on. I do think even though he's listed as bigger, he's going to be the smaller guy in terms of size. I think Josh Emmett is going to be stronger, more physically imposing. But I think Topuria's technique when it comes to the wrestling and especially the jiu-jitsu threat he offers if he gets taken down, I think it'll be enough to kind of fend off Josh Emmett. One of these guys might get the finish. I'm just hoping for a great fight. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to go Ilia Topuria by submission. I do think this fight is going to hit the ground eventually, whether it's Topuria or Josh Emmett kind of bringing it there. I do think Topuria's submission threat is pretty big, even from his back. And Josh Emmett's only been submitted once before, and that was in his last fight against Yair Rodriguez. Especially with his wrestling base, he's able to smother a bunch of submission attempts. I do think if Ilia stays striking on the feet, he gives Josh Emmett a huge window back into the fight. And so I think the ground is the best option. Josh Emmett might be a little stronger, but when it comes to jiu-jitsu, I think Topuria is a step ahead. So I think that's his biggest chance. I think this is a very close fight. I think the odds should be closer. I think they're too wide right now. But do you think Ilia Topuria breaks into the top 5, or do you think Josh Emmett defends his spot? Let me know down below. I'm interested to hear what you think. It's going to be a great night of fights. Do not forget to tune in, and I'll see you next week for Strickland versus Magomedo.